Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of At the Movies with William Fletcher. As per usual, I am your host, William Fletcher, and I am joined this week, as I've been joined before, by Mr. Harry Jobson.
I'm back. I was finally. He was finally able to get me on a net. He was able to wrangle me.
Yeah, well, that's the problem when you're trying to organize things like this with adults. Is we've got lives and stuff. So I mean, I haven't done.
Someone's got to clean. Someone's got to clean those floors, my friend.
And yeah, I mean, I haven't done an episode, and I think it's been a couple in the last episode anyway, just because it's like hard to. Yeah, it's just I'm not trying to push myself to be like put an episode out every week, because that's just not. Because it'll lead me to putting out episodes I don't like and I'm not happy with. So just do episodes when I am able to do them. But for this week's episode, we're going to be looking at the history. Well, I don't know if history is the word. I guess it kind of is. The Disney live action remakes. I'm gonna focus on, and we're only gonna focus on sort of the proper ones. We're not gonna focus on the ones that are like sequel-y things, like Alice in Wonderland or Cruella, which is a prequel, or any of that. It's just sort of the proper main.
That new
ones.
Lion King film,
sort of the sort of modern ones they've been doing. So yeah, that starts off with Cinderella, which is one of the ones I haven't seen for this. But I'm not. I mean, have you seen
Cinderella? Well, no, I know.
Yeah.
I've actually seen the original animated one, but no, I haven't seen the live action. I've seen it's weird. TikTok loves to show me just clips of almost anything ever. I've never expressed a direct interest in the Disney live action remakes. I've actually said in conversations in my personal life that I fucking hate them. I think the concept of them is really dumb. Well, not dumb. I just think it's so disgustingly capitalistic. And I'm not trying to get political, but art is inherently political, and film is art, and this shit is not art. I don't care if you slap Jon Favreau as the director. It's like, come on.
Yeah, I mean, I think we might get onto this just now since you've sort of brought it up. I mean, I have a great deal of love for a lot of classic Disney animation. I know, Harry, you're not. You're a DreamWorks guy, and I can respect
I'm
that.
A DreamWorks guy.
Yeah, you're not as my guy, which I can respect. DreamWorks, they've put out some banger films.
Well, look. Disney is right. It's especially the Disney animated. In the world of sound music, Disney's the Beatles. Disney's the Rolling Stones. It's the classics, and I love the Beatles. Don't get me wrong. I have high respect for them. But in my daily rotation, in my playlist, I'm talking DreamWorks. I'm talking Smash Mouth, Counting Crows. I'm talking it's newer. It feels. I feel like just I've existed within the context of DreamWorks, But
and I generally am a very big fan of Disney animation. I think there's a lot of really great films in there, and just these live action remakes they really do lend credence to the idea that Hollywood has run out, and that there's no more original films being made. And I'm someone who will defend Marvel films, to an extent. I'm a fan of those films and that franchise. And the idea that those kind of artless same, and I don't agree with that with Marvel films. I think the Disney live action remakes are indicative of within the industry as a whole. I think that I think there's just something about these films that there's no need to make these films again. But
because what are you saying? You're not saying anything different from something you literally already said. Like you said 30 years ago with, say, the upcoming Lilo and Stitch. That film's perfect. Don't touch it. But
yes,
whereas
very
with
likely
the Marvel
I'll do a Lilo
films
and Stitch episode, but yeah.
But in the Marvel context, for example, and the reason that that is essentially easier to defend is that it's telling a more original story. Maybe it's adapted from a book or written, but most films are.
Mhm.
When we're talking, you're visually representing something new or building on
Yeah,
something rather than this isn't building on anything. This is putting on
yeah,
makeup. This is
yeah. And I think also with Marvel films is they're putting their own spin on pre-existing
and I hate
story.
it.
Like the Captain
Oh no
Captain
no no!
America
With the
Civil
Disney
War.
films, yeah,
Yeah, with the Marvel films though, like Captain America
yeah.
Civil War comic book, and they spin on it when they adapted it. The Infinity
Oh,
Gauntlet,
absolutely.
they adapted that and made their own spin of it. So there's they're not doing a one
It
for
made it a much
one of
more
comic books.
edible, yeah,
Yeah, they're sort of taking it as a
consumable,
starting
yeah.
point and often doing their own thing with it, using ideas and concepts and characters, but doing their own thing with it. Whereas these Disney live action remakes it's the same film again, but just not as good. And I think it's
Yeah. No, yeah,
I mean, yeah,
absolutely.
it's yeah, big issue with Hollywood, I think. And I think there's some really great films being made. I'm not one of those people who great films are not being made anymore, because that's not true. There are great films being made all the time. It's just you sort of and I've said years in the past, like their highest grossing films, and something like The Godfather was the highest grossing film of 1972, I think it was. And that just doesn't happen now. The highest grossing film of a year will be
Well, it
a Disney
insists
live
upon
action
itself.
remake. But the
But
just the way
they
the industry has changed. But yeah, these Disney live action remakes are generally bad. And they are not well reviewed by critics. Audience are kind of mixed on them. But people still go out and see them. They are grossed upon billions. Like, it's insane.
yeah, but that's
Like, I'm just looking
it's
here.
in the same sense of Disney is the Apple of cinema, really. It's like everyone just likes it because
Mm.
they haven't done anything. They didn't do anything. They're literally
Mm.
not doing anything new. Like this is quite literally
Mm.
copy paste, new color or new shape, but same thing. And everyone
Mhm.
just goes, oh, but it's Disney, so it's reliable. And they see it as, look, I might,
Mm.
because I'll be honest, I can't remember last time I actually know I can. Last time I got any sort of, I would say, excitement for a Disney film would have been Spider-Man: No Way Home. I don't.
Yeah,
Disney has
that
not
does.
released something since that I've gone. I am going to like. This looks like a good film. I watch it going. I know it's not going to be unwatchable, and that's
Mhm.
what it is. It's the most. It might be all right. Disney has been popping out solid 6 out of 10s for like the last 5 years.
Yeah, but we should probably films now because we've got a few to get through. So Cinderella, I haven't seen, and you mentioned before that you hadn't seen it either.
Yes, no, I hadn't, but I mean, it's Cinderella. Lady has two evil, ugly stepsisters that she
Mm.
is like basically a servant for. And then she goes to the
Yeah,
ball, finds a handsome prince, glass
yeah.
slipper,
He
all that
puts a
sort of
shoe on her
jazz.
foot. Yeah, glass slipper.
It's very
It's very
fundamental
standard.
Brothers Grimm fairy tale. It can't be
I
too hard to
think
mess
that
up,
yeah,
really.
I haven't seen it. I can believe it's probably one of the less bad ones because it's like I don't know. I also don't have like a real nostalgic love for it, so I'm like I might go in and be like, it was alright because I'm just sort of like I don't really care, and that's kind of the thing I've had with some of these films is not bothered as much by some of them because it's like I don't have a nostalgia. Like we'll get to like
But
Aladdin and The
I,
Lion
but I
King,
will.
where I have a love for those
I
original
will.
films, but yeah.
Yeah. But I will. What I will speak on is Cinderella, at least just as an idea or a concept on making a live action remake, is the only one of them that feels valid. Because maybe Dumbo, but Cinderella and Dumbo came out in 1941. Cinderella came out in 1950. This isn't nostalgia bait.
Yeah.
They're not nostalgia baiting for the 80-year-olds. This is complete and utter. It is remake, but it feels at least somewhat justified. The Jungle Book, even to an extent, I would argue, well, the Jungle Book does as well. But when you're getting into Beauty and the Beast, the original came out in what, 1992, 91? 91? Like early
91
90s?
for Beauty and
That's
the Beast.
nostalgia bait. That's millennial nostalgia bait. That's damn near Gen Z nostalgia bait. Imagine in 5 years making a live action Cars remake. Like what? You know what I mean? But that's closer to the release of Toy Story than Toy Story was to Cars, or not. Well, I don't know why I keep going to Cars, but that's what, like early 2000s. So I'm just saying that it's
2006, I think Cars was, yeah.
Yeah, so it's quite recent. It like Beauty and the Beast being 1991. It's what, 34 years. Actually, it was released according. I just brought it up. It was 91, by the way. March 17th. So to the day in America was, to this day that we're recording this, was the original release.
To the day that we're recording. Yeah, I think, some of these remakes are sort of like, well, does anybody really have nostalgia for Dumbo, for Cinderella, for
there would definitely be the odd the few that grew up on those die-hard older Disney films. I actually worked with a few that were like, I loved Dumbo and loved that ride. But again, they will see it, but they'll also take their kids that maybe don't want to watch. Even though I would argue that Dumbo, the animation, is still easily watchable today, considering it came out almost 100 years ago.
But we should probably move on to the ones that we've seen. So I believe the next one was the Jungle Book. I that film actually. I actually quite like this one. I believe the Jungle Book is the next one.
I like both. I like both Jungle Books. I think they're both fun. They both have.
Yeah, no, I original. Yeah.
But it feels original, you know, the story of the Jungle Book.
Yeah.
So
there's something about it where it feels like I think this is the best of the remakes, I'll say.
And I think that's a credit to Jon Favreau.
Jon Favreau. Yeah. Who have we talked about Jon Favreau before? We haven't done Iron Man or Elf.
Yeah, and we should do Chef. We really should do Chef. We should do a Jon Favreau.
I've never seen Chef. Maybe we should. I've never seen Chef, but I do
Max
intend to watch
Mofo would hate you. That's a little filthy Frank joke. If anyone knows any of the human cake, hair cake, or vomit cake.
Yeah, but interesting film because he was given Iron Man to do for Marvel, and kickstarted off franchise. I think he made sense as a choice for Iron Man. You sort of need someone who, you don't need like a real auteur of a director, but you need someone who could sort of put a bit of comic. He'd sort of been, and I think that vibe sort of worked for Iron Man. But now he's become like, I mean, he's doing a lot of stuff with Star Wars, The Mandalorian and the like. And now he's doing the Jungle Book and The Lion King, which we'll get onto later. But I think this Jungle Book is, I think it's actually really good. I remember I thought it was really, really great. Visual effects are phenomenal. Like I know Disney gets a lot of flack for how the visuals look in their sort of more recent films, and I completely get that. But in the Jungle Book, I think it's really good. Like just the visuals look phenomenally good, and they're very well integrated.
You know, and I like we don't need to really go into the story. Like I'm sure a lot of people have seen the Jungle
Yeah.
Book. If we're just touching on the remake's ability to keep an audience, or not an audience, but say ourselves engaged, I think it does that job. Jungle Book is one of the few live action remakes that I would never say I would prefer to watch over the original. But if someone said, "Oh, do you want to watch the Jungle Book?" and they put that one on, I'd just be like, "Yeah, it's the Jungle Book. It's one of the Jungle Books," and I really don't mind. And that's a true
the
testament because the
original.
rest of
Yeah, I haven't
them,
seen the original. Oh, so I think I might choose to rewatch the book over the. I haven't seen the original recently. Can't like
the
talk
original
about
one's
it,
trippy.
but I
It's got
think
like the snake, like the the
yeah,
python, and you know how it like does the hypnotizing. Trippy as in
yeah,
in
that's
the
really.
original. Like that scene always really freaked me out.
But this one, I mean, there's a really stacked cast. Like a lot of names in this. Like list up. Got Bill Murray in
Bill
there.
Murray,
You
Christopher
can't not.
Walken.
Ben Kingsley, Idris
Hey, it's
Elba is
Christopher.
as
The Jungle
Shere
Book is
Khan.
Mowgli. Yeah.
Yeah. Idris Elba is a phenomenal choice as Shere Khan. Like he's like
Oh
Idris
yeah.
Elba has that voice. I think Idris Elba is a great
Um,
actor as well. I think it helps. Yeah.
he's Scarlett Johansson.
Scarlett Johansson. Yeah. Apparently Sam Raimi was in the cast. What the hell?
Who did he play?
Yeah, film director Sam. It says he played a giant squirrel. Yeah, I think
That's
I
interesting.
actually really enjoyed this film. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no. Amongst the other live action remakes, I think sits pretty far above. There is one coming this year that I am genuinely keen for. Although it's like I'm keen to drink my own pee when I haven't had water in a week. You know what I mean? Like it's not, there's not water. Like it's not nice. It's gross, but like it's hydration in the drought that is these live action remakes. I am merely just similes and metaphors at the end of the day, but I am keen. At the moment though, Jungle Book sits atop of the pile. I didn't rewatch it for the podcast, but I didn't watch it too long ago. Maybe a couple of years.
Yeah. Yeah,
2020,
I've seen it
give or
fairly
take.
recently. Yeah. Yeah, this is probably one I was to watch again. All the others are fairly disposable to write. Just like this is the only one that I think is
Yeah,
like an actual good film.
and look, it made a lot, and I think, well, it made a lot because it's a Disney movie, but I also think it's deserved. I remember the hype for it when it came out. This is what, back in 2016. But hey,
Yeah.
cool,
Well,
good
apparently, I
music,
think it
good
was
songs, good vibes.
down
7.
to. Yeah, I like the again. Another big problem with these recent remakes is they really butcher the songs, and they just don't.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The Lion King is
They
the
just
worst of
this
that. But
one. We'll get to that, but I think this one really they make changes to how they're performed, but they're sort of the way like they're sort of singing it sort of almost absent-mindedly. They're not breaking out into big musical numbers. They're more just like they're just sort of strolling through and they're sort of absent-mindedly singing a song to themselves, and I think that's fine. I
yeah,
think
because
that
breaking
is.
into a large musical number works a whole lot better in animated form than it does in live action. It's never not looked. Watch High School Musical 2 and tell me it doesn't look goofy. I love that film to bits, but it is very clearly obnoxiously out of place. Well, I mean, High School Musical, it's in the title, so it works a bit better. Same with like a West Side Story, but
Yeah.
especially the live action Disney films, a lot of the musical numbers just fall so flat. But the Jungle Book just works so well in making it feel just a little bit more natural. It feels like it should be there.
Don't really have much to say on it though. Like that's kind of the thing with a lot of these films is I like this film. I just don't like there's I have to say on it.
Especially because we're just more so speaking on how well the remake works. It's not as if we're going into the narrative of these films, because again, that would be like we would be talking about a movie that's telling a story about a movie that's telling a story, which is just so many degrees of disconnection to be talking about the narrative of a remake of an original story. So again, we're talking about how faithful it is to its original, and I think The Jungle Book is at least the closest. And for that, I would say, and I want to give it a higher score. I have to give it the context in the way, especially because we compare these scores, and I know what I gave 500 Days of Summer. I know what I gave, certain films. I'm going to give it a 7, and I would argue that's
fair,
justifiable, but it's also slightly boosted. Because I was thinking 8, but I was thinking 8 because I was thinking about how much better it is than the rest of the other ones, but that doesn't mean that it's better than a lot of other films that are out there. So I think a 7's a good middle ground for this one.
Yeah. I mean, I do give it an 8. I really liked it, and I think it's probably the only remake that doesn't completely it doesn't just take what the original did and ruins it. It sort of it's because it's doing basic, it's doing the story, but it just works somehow here, and I don't really understand how they did it because it doesn't feel like doing different.
I would argue that two things: The Jungle Book is, and it falls under the Cinderella treatment as well, of being an old enough story that it kind of justified retelling, and that gave it a head start. Again, Jungle Book, the original film came out in the 60s?
Yeah, 1967, I think. Yeah.
I think a lot of the voice actors worked well. I'm not going to lie, and we'll get into The Lion King, but some of the voice actor choices there, it was too like for example, let's look at the selection of Bill Murray. He's not obnoxiously he definitely was, but nowadays especially, he's not like Chris Pratt. You don't hear him everywhere. You don't see him everywhere. He's not The Rock. He's not also this really obnoxiously recognizable voice like Seth Rogen. I love Seth Rogen, but when you hear him, you know him, sort of thing. And that adds a degree of disconnect. And I think that's something that Disney's always been quite well with. Look at the stars they've casted in the past. David Spade in The Emperor's New Groove. You don't even think about the fact that it is David Spade. Like, really.
Yeah.
But he's a big star. Mike Myers in Shrek, which is DreamWorks, but I think they chose well there. I think really a lot of it comes down to the voice actors, the cast and crew.
We've talked about this before. With these actors and how animated films used to actually do pretty well. Like, look at Toy Story. Tom Hanks and Tim Allen, big names.
Exactly.
Recognizable stars, but they work so well in those films. Like, they are, like, Tom Hanks and Tim Allen just fit those roles, and they give great performances. But, yeah, I mean, we should probably move. We're a bit into the recording already. We've only really talked about one of these films. So the next film, Beauty and the Beast, which I watched quite recently, actually. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I didn't hate this one either. I didn't think it was like amazing or anything, but I didn't hate it.
So I have a bit of a story. I also didn't like it. I think Emma Watson is. I love her, right? She's a great Hermione. She's great in Perks of Being a Wallflower. She's great in This Is the End. There's a funny role, but I just she's too.
I know
she's too. That's that. She's too. And I would also just have a little story about when this film first came out. And correct me if the timeline's wrong. When did it come out in like 2018, 2017? Yeah, so this might actually line up. I think. So it was my mother, my sister, myself, and my younger brother and my younger stepbrother. And they were doing like, oh yeah, let's all do a night at the movies. And we went out to the cinemas, and we went to. Mum was like, we'll let the boys watch a film they want to watch. And her and my little sister went and watched Beauty and the Beast. And there were 2 films out at the time that was also showing in cinemas. And it was one of the Fast and Furious. I think it was maybe Fate of the Furious.
Yeah, I think
it was like Fast 6 or Fast 7. Maybe Fast 8. And then it was Lego Batman. And
yeah, that sounds right. And it was released.
And the younger boys wanted to watch Lego Batman. I wanted to watch Fast and Furious. We went into Lego Batman. I was really upset. I was like, I'd rather watch Beauty and the Beast. Film started. I fell in love. Is to this day one of like my favorite films. I love Batman Lego. But
the Lego Batman is very good.
Yeah. And then when I went to eventually go on and watch this film, I was so happy I watched Lego Batman. Like, so unimaginably happy. I couldn't imagine paying to watch this film. And that's not to say, like, oh, it's so awful, but it's just, like, far out. Like, I just didn't like it. But, it's not doing anything else but just being like, here, look, pretty actress that everybody likes. Story that everybody likes. Nostalgia bait. You remember Beauty and the Beast? Yeah, I remember it. It was 20 years ago when this film came out.
Yeah. I watched this recently. Yeah. I didn't hate it. I'll be honest. I did not hate them. Mainly because I don't have a massive amount of love for the original.
There's nothing wrong with this cast. I mean, you're looking at Ewan McGregor, who's a phenomenal actor. You're looking at Emma Watson and Dan Stevens. Like, even Josh Gad plays a role in this, which...
Yeah, Josh Gad.
He's particularly... I don't hate him or like him, but again, he's another one of those actors that when you hear him, you hear him. And distinctly, he's Olaf in my Disney headcanon. And I understand the live-action films are something else, but it just felt so... This one felt so like, oh my god, the Jungle Book worked. What are our most profitable IPs?
Mm-hmm.
And
it feels like they were like, oh shit, we gotta get this into production now.
Yeah, it felt like the start of like the end.
A big pop eating itself is the phrase I would use. Yeah, pop eating itself is the phrase I would use.
But you're absolutely right. I mean, look at DreamWorks now with the live action How to Train Your Dragon. I like the idea, but you're not telling anything new. And this film was patient zero of that effect. It again was very much the beginning of the end of original storytelling. Thus, I have it centered so low on my respect bar. But it's not like the worst film of all time because it's telling a story that isn't that hard to tell. Because it's been told.
I will say it's not the worst one of these. I think, though, the fact that this film was profitable was not good. Like, the fact that this made $1 billion is, sort of...
That sucks so much. This film made $1 billion and I make like 26 an hour, and that's just not fair. I work so much harder than this film.
I think this film doing as well as it did is no, it's not. Again, it's not a terrible film, but it's just so. I've seen this. This film existing does nothing for me.
It actually
I am
does
not being
actively harm me in the sense of promoting the existence of these type of films by being the first kind of one. If we give The Jungle Book and Cinderella
yeah.
like the leeway of it had been long enough, so. But then you get into the discussion what is long enough, but I don't love it. I give it a 4.
I give it a 6, which is maybe a 4,
Okay,
but I didn't hate it watching it, and I understand the idea. I completely understand the idea of hating what, and I think that's completely valid. But now I think we're gonna start getting into the fucking one, because I believe the next one is Dumbo. I believe that is the next one on the list.
yes, it is. I'd never seen the original Dumbo. I watched the remake. I never saw the original. Good. I knew the story. There's like a lot of these, you already know the story. You don't even have to watch it because they're so prolifically popular in media. They are pop culture. They're the first pop culture. But Dumbo, it is hard for me to try to speak on how it would, represent the original when I hadn't seen it. But if I'm just talking purely on the filmmaking, it's one of the it's Tim Burton, which I think is something very important to mention, and I think it does
Yeah.
an okay job. I like Danny DeVito. I love Danny DeVito in pretty much everything ever.
Yeah.
But I just think it really, you got a decent cast stacked behind it.
Can I just quickly mention Tim Burton, because I did
Yes.
Tim Burton covering his entire filmography. I hadn't, so I looked at his whole filmography. I hadn't seen Dumbo at the time. I rewatched it like a few days ago. And you said to me in the past you were not a Tim Burton fan. You were not
I just don't care for this
in
his
love with his.
stylization. Yeah, a lot of his his au revoir is very, his body of work. It's very situated in his stylization, which is not twisted as in sick, but twisted as in physically twisted. Like something being twisted, gothic, and I mean, I've always maintained I like Big Fish, and I like Edward
Yes, you've
Scissorhands
mentioned,
to an
yeah.
extent, and I like Big Fish. I don't mind Dumbo.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm a like where because I'm a big Tim Burton fan. I love a lot of his films, and this was just a messiah of a film for me. And I'm not like a big
Yeah,
fan of
well,
the original either, but this is just sort of structurally, it's just weird because the original Dumbo is like 60 minutes long, like 64 or something. It's like, it's not a film, the original. It is an hour-long film, basically. And the ending of that original film happens like 40-minute remake, which makes sense. They have to expand it. They can't just make an hour-long film because the industry, I guess. Yeah, this is. I don't. I'm not. Yeah, basically, I thought it was just bad. Most of the cast, I just thought were very good, and I like a lot of these actors. Colin Farrell is an excellent talent. I love who the fuck is Vita. I
I
think
love
Eva
a
Green
Michael
is
Keaton as
decent.
well.
Michael Keaton, yeah, I like Michael Keaton. I just don't think this film was doing anything that
Hits the mark.
interested me. I didn't like the kids.
Yeah, well,
I thought the kids were bad.
yeah, okay. Well, that more than fair enough. I mean, I also, again, it's not something that. Well, when I say I quite like it, I'm merely. I mean that in the sense of I like the story. Because Dumbo is it's original. I mean it's not, but it is. And that again, it was a low bar. I do hold a certain respect to the films that are able to give the original story its length before going, all right, let's redo it. And trust me, as a Spider-Man fan, I know the feeling of just getting like 5 years of nothing, and then look, there's Spider-Man, same story, slightly different.
Yeah.
And I can't do it. I can't do it. So I give it the length that it needs. But again, I like the story. I think a lot of as you said, the kids fall flat. I think some of the other I think it's just very. It feels more of a Disney film than it does directed by an individual director. And we'll look at this in contrast, say, to The Jungle Book, which feels more like Jon Favreau than this feels like Tim Burton.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I don't know what went into play there. Whether this is Disney saying this is more of a precious IP. It is a distinctly Disney IP, but other than that, I thought, look, I could sit down and watch it. Well, I sat down and watched it, but other than that, I don't think I'm never gonna chuck it on. If I do start deciding to collect DVDs like I want to and have my own data collection of these films, I don't know if it's in the top couple hundred of films I'll be looking to find. Well, what would you rate it out of 10?
I don't have a 4. I just I'm a big Tim Burton fan, and it's just a meh for me, really. I don't like it.
Yeah, I respect that. Shall we? Well, what comes after Dumbo? Is it?
Did you have it put a rating on that one? Sorry.
Yeah. No, I gave it a 5.
A 5.
But
Okay.
let's say if I watch the original, it might go down. Again, you hold Tim Burton in a much higher regard. I don't like. Look, I respect his work. I really do. It's just not for me. But I fully understand why a lot of people love it. But Big Fish is cool.
This is Aladdin.
Can I admit something as we get into this one? And I'll it'll add a bit of interest.
Okay.
I watched the remake before I watched the original. I saw Will Smith as the genie before I saw Robin Williams as the genie. But there wasn't like I always knew Robin Williams as the genie. I'd seen like bits of it, but I just didn't grow up in like watching Aladdin ever. It wasn't a thing. And then I knew of it in stuff like school. I think maybe it was put
DreamWorks films.
Well, no, I grew up watching Emperor's New Groove, Pixar, and DreamWorks, but yeah, I'm gravitated towards DreamWorks because they're a lot heavily based in comedy, and that's what I value quite highly. But so is Aladdin, and I missed out on that when I watched Will Smith does his way into being the genie, which I think doesn't know, like he respect. Like honestly, respect. Like Robin Williams might be the hardest actor of all time to have to perform in a remake and fill that role. Literally, maybe the biggest shoes ever in a role. And as much as I kind of now dislike Will Smith, I liked him in Fresh Prince, but especially in public opinion lately. He's all right. Like he's really not that bad. I think people made a huge deal about how bad it was. It's like it could be worse. Again, I feel like there are actors that you could have chosen. There's no one that's immediately coming to mind, but there were definitely other options. Will Smith felt like, again, the vanilla ice cream of those options. I understand that's ironic, but it's just very like. That was the most Disney thing a Disney movie could have done. Would be like, oh, how's Will Smith is the genie? It's like, yeah, fucking course he would. It's like because it's like everyone putting Pedro Pascal in everything now. Will Smith was kind of in everything when Aladdin came out. Yeah, I would. Yeah, it's also a Guy Ritchie film, which like it really weird. There's not as much Jason Statham as you'd think, but
it's weird that Guy. Yeah. did this film. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
doesn't. It doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't it's Aladdin, kind of.
Mm. Yeah, I think the thing about it is I remember when Will Smith was announced as the genie, everyone online was like, "Oh, this is gonna be a terrible idea," and fair enough, it's that's not unreasonable to think. And then the trailer came out, it wasn't a good, it didn't look
Oh
good. Like there was a lot of
yeah, it didn't look good.
yeah, and it's like the problem is like how can you replace Robin Williams?
It was
Like
honestly
that's the
doomed
thing.
to fail.
Yeah, Robin
Yeah.
Williams Robin Williams in general is one of the most beloved actors in the history just ever. Like people love Robin Williams to
Oh yeah.
pieces. Like
And
I've never heard
and
anyone say I don't like Robin Williams.
and that's just on the side of public accord and opinion. If we go into like the actual ability he had, it's like trying to. I'm not going to do another. I'm doing another metaphor. It's like trying to hit a hole in one after Tiger Woods hits a hole in one. Like it's like trying to hit a three. It's like trying to go point for point in a 3-point
Yeah.
contest with Steph Curry. It's like it's not happening. But like I know Tiger Woods wasn't like prolifically a hole in one guy, but that's the best.
That's no.
I
get what you're
think
saying. I get the point.
Robin Williams might genuinely be one, and there is a heavy argument, is the greatest of all time to play this sort of supporting character. He probably is the greatest supporting actor of all time, and he's a great lead as well. But just especially in a comedic supporting actor, he's probably the greatest of all time. And I think that is not ridiculous to say. I think that's very arguable.
I
So
think it's
to
very
get the Fresh
reasonable.
Prince to try to do his best,
Yeah, and I think that because I do like that they didn't sort of have him do an imitation of Robin. Like I think Will Smith didn't do terribly in terms
he did it. He
of
really
he
did
sort of
make it his
did try
own.
to own.
But you have to, right? Because you can't try to be faithful when it's Robin Williams. Like he had to try to make it his own, and it was different enough.
Well, that's he
and
couldn't. Yeah,
it was significantly more modern. And I would also argue that this film was probably the first of these Disney live action films that started coming out that sparked quite a widespread online public discussion
the backlash.
about
Yeah.
About casting other races to play other characters, which, and
Yeah.
I'm going to say this, I don't care. Like, I've never once cared. Like, I don't, who cares? Well, why do people care? It's like, Aladdin was blue. That was the one I always thought was kind of weird that anyone cared about, and then we'll get into Little Mermaid, but I'm just like, but like, if you're going to remake him, like, why not change it up a little bit? Like, it adds nothing, and if anything, it just helps empower like a younger generation. And arguably, is if you're remaking it, you're remaking something for a modern setting. Is more modern. We do live in a more culturally diverse world, and I think it would be ridiculous to think that everyone is white.
Yeah, I went into this film though with low expectations, and maybe why I didn't hate. I mean, I don't think it's a particularly great film, but I don't think it's like completely awful. And it's fine. I just don't. All the songs are just done well. The original okay. I think the problem with a lot of these remakes is just the new original songs they add are just not very good. Yeah, I mean, I thought Evermore.
It really isn't.
It wasn't too bad, but yeah. Besides that, yeah.
Yeah, like this film, you take Will Smith out of it,
It loses
like Naomi
anything.
Scott.
personality. I will say that.
But like no, but if you just do
would
like
make it worse, yeah.
yeah, but like let's say you don't put Wilson, like let's say you were to recast that and you just put like some generic no name, but maybe like mid tier. You know who I always wanted to? I would love like Eric Andre as the genie. I feel like that'd just be the most beautiful. Like if we were to do like see if Disney did these adaptations,
that wouldn't be
but
too
they were just
bad.
like complete chaotic remakes, like Aladdin, but like the genie is like saying like you should wish for kilos and kilos of cocaine and sell it, like well you know just like real like R18 versions of these films, and they were like not like horror ones like the Winnie the Pooh. That was
those are bullshit. But
yeah, I think it would like real funny ones. I think it would work, and because to me that wouldn't really be stepping into Robin Williams' shoes anymore. You'd be stepping in more of a character. This tries to sort of be its own new thing, but not enough that it kind of does a good job at it. And it could have honestly been if this was released 15 years before it was actually released. Dude, it would not have been a theatrical release. It would have been straight to DVD. Your friend would have it, and he would also have like one of those weird like Bob's Birthdays from Monsters vs. Aliens, and you're like, why do you have this movie? Like you don't have any real movies.
Yeah.
You just have like weird Disney release, like The Lion King 1 1/4 or something.
I don't think we need to talk much about this. I give it a 5. I don't. Yeah, I give it a 5 as well. I also will never watch. I will never watch it again because I don't need to.
It does do a good job in making me want to watch the animated version. It's a real good like, man, why am I watching this? I should watch the better one.
Maybe that's a good thing to come from these. It'll make you be like, oh, so bad. I should watch that original one, and then you watch the the good film.
Yeah, but then you're still supporting Disney doing this sort of stuff, so it's like a vicious cycle.
Let's move on. The Lion King is the next one. I did an episode on The Lion King, so I've already talked about this, so I don't really need much more to say on this. I just want to ask you one thing, and I'll just let you talk about this one. Beyonce in this film is terrible. I want to say that.
So bad.
Beyonce in this film. And she's not an actor.
I think they... I think
I'll let you
casting of this film. I will spend maybe 2 minutes, so that's all I'm going to need, and I'm not going to stop. Are you ready? Okay. Jon Favreau. This one was worse, arguably. Jungle Book was better. This one was worse. I love Donald Glover. I do. This not his film. It was a weird period where he also did Solo, a Star Wars story, and I think that one was slightly better. I like him as a younger Lando Calrissian, but he's also too cool to play Lando Calrissian. Seth Rogen, incredibly jarring as Warthog. I understand it though. Like it's jarring because it's like, oh, that's Seth Rogen. But like, I actually don't mind some of the musical numbers. I think the whole like Hakuna Matata bit, not as bad as like it could have been, but it's still not great. I think I did the only sort of casting when I think really about the entire film, besides obviously James Earl Jones, which bow down to the king. Beyonce is just like a disgusting choice. This is so Disney just going, it's the Lion King. We need to assemble like the cast that everyone wants right now. I'm so surprised Zendaya isn't in this. And then John Oliver I love, but I love John Oliver. So I'm like, I don't know. I like him in everything. And I just like him in this. He plays the bird so well. I really am. John Oliver is... I mean, but you could have lit like a lot of the original... Again, this came out in like the mid-90s. A lot of the original cast, you could have just got back and it would have been fine. Like, why?
Oh, God, they could have.
Like...
Yeah, why not get Jeremy Irons back? The Scar.
Yeah, absolutely. Why not get fucking... Oh, I feel so bad. I'm just going to... Why not get Mr. Bean
Rowan
back?
Atkinson.
Rowan Atkinson.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the one that was going on in my head. But like why are we doing this? Why are we I understand it's harder to do the voice. You also literally, and this is gonna sound, we have like it's Disney, right? Disney made the original. Disney made this one. It had only been 20 years. They have the audio files from the original recording. Yeah, there's newer and nicer microphones, but you could have digitally upscaled that and just put it into the new movie, and it would have been completely fine.
Yeah.
Like
I mean, yeah,
I
music.
understand they
They
add
do it
new
with music
elements,
all the
but
time. They remaster old, like I look at like Beatles
literally
albums and
all the
David
time.
Bowie. They all say there's like remasters.
You,
It's like just do that.
you
You can
can't
do
you
that.
can't listen to anything from earlier than the 80s without it being remastered,
Yeah.
and it's like literally just do that. And this is the most common. This is the worst offender for Disney, just going money, 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 money. This film's like I the fact that it exists, because like I like the original Lion King, but not as much as everyone else. Like I love it, don't get me wrong, but I'm not like it's my whole childhood, because like it wasn't. But like a 3, and it's not based on the film, because the film is like okay, it's like realistically, I sit down and watch it, it's like a 5, but it's just mere existence makes it a 3.
Just what it, yeah.
So early.
What it is, yeah.
If this film came out in 40 years, maybe I'd be like, okay, 5.
Yeah, but of what it represents in the modern landscape of film, then yeah. Yeah, I kind of agree with a lot of what you said. I think, yeah, Beyonce is just terrible casting. I don't like Beyonce in general. She just doesn't seem real. Like how she carries herself and portrays herself. She just is like the the Hollywood like elite celebrity.
She's
like,
the one. She's the 1%. She's the Kim
you are
Kardashian.
disconnected from reality. Yeah, she just feels completely disconnected from reality. It's like I saw at the Grammys recently, she won an award, and she won a Grammy recently, and then it cuts to her reaction, and it's the most. It looks like it looked trying to be human, but she just doesn't know how to because she's so disconnected from reality. It's insane. If you haven't seen,
and good for her, but like,
yeah,
I've seen it. Yeah.
I give it a 2 out of 10. I don't like it.
I
It's
respect
just
it.
what it represents, I think. Yeah. Then after that, we've got Lady and the Tramp. I haven't seen this one.
I saw it, right? And I'll just speak on it very quickly, literally a minute, and I won't even give it a rating.
Yeah, because
who
cares? Yeah.
It's like okay, it's a direct to Disney Plus, which is their equivalent to direct to DVD nowadays. It's a lot of dog, and I'm not gonna lie, live action dogs can't hold a film like it's not as whimsical as the original Lady and the Tramp is like romantic because it's kind of cute, but this is like no, that's a dog. Like
yeah,
like it's a dog. Like I like a dog's purpose is cute, and like Air Bud is cute, but like this is like the dogs they choose as well is it's like this raggedy. I don't know. It's just gross. Like it's kind of gross.
yeah, and they try and make them look very
like,
realistic. Yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah, and I just don't like it. Like it's
too realistic.
It's kind of uncanny. Like it's I give it like a. I'm not even going to give it anything, but Yvette Nicole Brown's in it, and I like her in Community. So
in Community, yeah,
that's all.
Yeah, let's then after that, Milan. Is that name? I
Never
saw
seen
this on Disney. Oof, I mean, you're not. That's fair enough. Yeah, ID Plus. This was in 2020 when cinemas were not a thing anymore. They were all closed, and they had this thing they used to do where they put any premium cost for a film on Disney Plus to watch it. I didn't do that. I just waited till it was streaming normally because I didn't want to pay to watch it. The worst one, just the ethical practices around it. Like they filmed like in and around concentration camps. So it's like, and the lead actress has said some really, that's Yeah, and the lead actress said some really just quite awful things, also about like pro-China, anti. I don't remember the specifics,
Western,
but
anti-Western civilization. I remember hearing about that.
it was yeah. It might have been like anti-Taiwan, like Taiwan. Was not specifically what the
Oh
statement she
yeah,
made was.
but just also this film had a budget of 200 million and it only grossed at the box office 69.9 and good.
Mm,
This should have deterred,
um,
especially like no, I don't know. I just yeah.
to be like protests in 2019, and she posted something that was very supportive of the Hong Kong police and like basically being pro police, not yeah, this I thought was terrible. They removed all the good things and shoot, and I love Eddie Murphy. Like, I think Eddie Murphy is fantastic. So removing him
And he could have
completely,
done it. It's not. It's like
yeah, he could
it's
have
like
done
he's
it
done.
without all the songs. Like, no, I'll make a man out of you. Like, none of the banger songs film, which is a waste.
Interesting.
It looks, yeah, it's terrible. It. Mulan is. I will say this: a lot of complaints about like Rey in the recent Star Wars film being a Mary Sue character. This Mulan film, she is like a Mary Sue character. Like this is like an action. Like she doesn't go through. She can these incredible things in like the first 10 minutes of the film. It's just. It's not. It's a terrible film. I give it a 2 out of 10. I think it's unforgivably bad. I really, really hate it. And you haven't seen it, right? You seen it?
No, I hadn't seen it.
Okay. Then we've got Pinocchio, also straight to Disney. Have you seen this one?
I actually, so I kind of did, but like I fell asleep. I remember when it came out, and I was like, "Yeah, I'll watch it." I like Joseph Gordon-Levitt. I like Keegan Michael Key. I like Tom Hanks, and I like Robert Zemeckis. So I chucked it on. Chucked it on, and fell asleep. Woke up, and it was just like continue watching on Disney Plus, and I was just sort of like,
Yeah.
"Nah." So I watched like the first
Yeah.
40 minutes, maybe.
Yeah. It's quite
I just
I
didn't
mean,
have the
yeah,
desire. Like,
Robertson. We talked about Back to the Future a while ago now, and we love Back to the Future. Both are like the greatest trilogy. Like that is what Back to the Future is. Like the first film, perfect
oh
film.
yeah,
The
absolutely.
sequels are great. Like I like Cast. I think Castaway is a great film. I'm not a big fan of Forrest Gump, but it's okay. Um, um,
I like Forrest Gump. I'm
I
a fan. I like the characters annoy me, but
yeah,
it's got like an overwhelming sense of like charm. And
yeah. I
that's
mean, we
you
did a
know
whole
what?
episode on
It's
Forrest
exactly
Gump.
word
If you
for
want to
word.
go,
Yeah. But yeah, it's exactly what
yeah.
pretty much. If you want to hear my opinion on those, a lot of honestly Robert Zemeckis' films besides Back to the Future, watch
Mm.
the clip from Tropic Thunder where Robert Downey Jr. talks about not going full. Um,
Yeah,
when he's speaking
yeah,
to Ben Stiller about Simple
yeah, yeah,
Jack.
yeah. Yeah, we can't say that word, but you know, if you've seen, yeah, you know what we're talking about. Yeah, I thought this film was really quite bad. I thought Robert Zemeckis is just, I don't know what's happened. This happens with so many great directors. They start off, they're making bang up films. You know, Robert Zemeckis, Steven Spielberg, Ridley Scott. Um,
Oh,
my
Ridley
mind is now
Scott,
blanked on
man.
the filmmakers. You know, so many great directors, and they just start off. Tim Burton. I mean, I know you're not, but for me, Tim
Tim
Burton is one
Burton
of
is
those.
one.
M Night Shyamalan started
Well,
all. You
okay.
know,
Well, he had
but
one good film,
we
but
we
like
we.
I um and
um. Yeah,
and
yeah.
yeah.
I didn't. I found myself supremely bored when I watched it, and I just thought it was a bad
I literally
film. I
fell
just thought it was
asleep.
badly made. Yeah,
I think the casting was awful, and like I would look. I got excited when I looked at the cast. I was like, oh, and it's because I looked at a list and I watched the movie, and I was like, what the fuck? Like none of the
yeah,
roles are the roles that should be the roles.
yeah. I don't think I've ever fallen asleep in a movie. This is like I totally get one word because it's so bad, and it's not even interesting bad. Like it's not funny bad. It's just bad, which is just like.
I fell asleep
Yeah.
during the live action Avatar. I had to rewatch that. So that was just speaking on M Night Shyamalan, but like,
I mean, again, it's just like
uh,
all these other ones where I don't really have much to say on it. Bad. I think it's a piece of
because
shit
they, do
film.
you know, we don't have anything to say because they don't have anything to say. So like, what's anyone
That's the
supposed to
thing.
say? It's like a 3 or 4.
Yeah, they are not saying anything. Yeah, I give it a 3. But yeah, I think it's apt that they have nothing to say and have anything to say. Yeah, I
And
give
it's
it a
not like I'm speechless.
3.
It's like, like, it's like, yeah, yeah, I agree. I'd probably say 3
I've
is
yeah.
justifiable.
Sorry, I'm just looking at Barney from the Scarf's review for Pinocchio. And there's just one sentence that I just want to mention. He's in his review says the voices of Pinocchio and Jim, aka the most often speaking characters, sound annoying as fuck, and I want to see Pinocchio get pushed into a wood chipper and squish Jiminy into a fine green paste.
Yeah, a little bit of
So
guacamole and fucking wood chips.
yeah, he was not pleased. So Tom Hanks, I don't never seen a bad Tom Hanks performance until this film. It's like, what the fuck did you do? Yeah,
Sold out,
yeah,
but like,
yeah. It's just yeah. I love Tom Hanks, but that was just not, just wasn't good. And then we move
not
on
it.
to the final film, The Little Mermaid. I
Who
also a
loves controversy?
Yeah, so I remember there was a big controversy because they cast a black actress as Ariel, and I didn't. And I get why. No, I don't get why. Like, I understand why like racists would have a problem with it, like bigots. Obviously they're gonna have a problem with
Oh,
it.
but you
But
know when you have like the closeted racists, there's like I'm not racist. So I'm like
oh
I'm
yeah,
not
oh
racist.
those yeah,
But like technically
that
she's
yeah.
underwater and she's not getting more sunlight, so she'll be more pale. Like the amount of times I saw that argument. So, but I'm not racist though. And I'm like,
It's like,
well,
dude,
you're
that's
arguing against little girls having
yeah.
like a
I think yeah,
potentially
yeah,
like African American portrayed female role
yeah,
model, and they're like,
yeah.
it doesn't always have to be Margot Robbie. I love Margot Robbie. Big Short, great film. But like, and I understand people, and this is now that we're discussing it, and people are talking on the argument. What if I made this black character white? And it goes, do you know the difference? Is that the Little Mermaid being white has nothing to like. It literally involves her character zero. Her being white doesn't identify with anything doing her culture. The only harm I could actually see in say what is it? Is it called race swapping or but like it is
Yeah,
making
race
say
swapping,
Ariel
I think.
and portrayed by an African American actress is, are you going to now tell that side of the story as well, or are you going to just act like there isn't any cultural significance behind? Because there's a lot of like
Yeah, no,
when you have
definitely.
a character who's, whether they're Asian, like Central Asian, Southeast Asian, Central European, you know, they could be Middle Eastern, they could be literally any culture in the world that isn't Anglo-Saxon, and even Anglo-Saxon can play into look at. And I'm going to say How to Train Your Dragon as an example. Yeah, them being white, they were Vikings, like of course, right? Not of course, but that plays into that Norse culture. Whereas
Hmm.
if you're going to bring Ariel to be an African American, are you going to, or well, she's whatever the fuck, Neptunian bikini bottom, I guess, under the sea. But it's like, are you going to add that depth now to the? Are you going to add that depth to the remake of this character? Because if you are, great, give me more. You're building upon a story now, but they just kind of remade it and rehashed it. I think that is undermining to the characters. Like if you're going to do it, you give it its weight that it deserves. Like it, because you're giving it a culture now. But I also don't see a huge issue with not doing that as well. If you want to maintain and retell and adapt to the same story, but like have it portrayed with someone with a different skin tint than the original cartoon, which was a color pigment probably picked through Adobe. Like, who cares? Oh no, they made a live action SpongeBob and he was blue. Like, you know, to me, it's so nothing, and people made it such a big deal. And I feel that now it's just and it started a whole argument, and it's just such a shame that we can't just enjoy films for like what they are. Again, if in the live action they made Hiccup Hispanic in the live action How to Train Your Dragon, I wouldn't say that would be a problem, but it would definitely be a creative choice that I would say that drastically changes the story and character of Hiccup because he's a Viking. Are you going to give it more depth and add more depth? But they didn't. And I don't know whether or not that downgrades the film, but really it's just sort of The Little Mermaid. Fun under the sea. I think, Little Mermaid is a fun story, but it does also feel so recent. It's just like The Lion King. It's just like, why? Come on.
I don't. I thought the whole race controversy was stupid because who the fuck cares? I think it's good to have more representation. I think having characters who aren't, I saw, there were videos online of young, girls watching that and being like, "Hey, she looks like me," and I think that's a good thing.
But on the film itself, does a good. It does an okay job. I mean, it could have been worse. It definitely could have been a lot worse. But it's still, just because something could have been worse doesn't mean it's exempt from still being lackluster.
I will say, I think they'll contender for ugliest looking film ever made. Like they've clearly.
Is it like the color grading, or is it like? Because I feel like the Under the Sea looks so less magical. And I understand.
There's no,
is it
it's
like,
so
is it like
bland,
realism based on ocean pollution?
Looking. Yeah, there's everything just looks so. So this film cost $240.2 to make, and it's just like, where is that money going? Like, where is the money going? And you just look at it. You look at the behind the scenes stuff, and it's just that they were shooting all the underwater on a fucking blue screen, and it's like, but it's gonna look weird then. It's gonna look uncanny as fuck because they're not filming an actor, and it's not exactly easy to. It's not easy to recreate the look of water in CGI.
This film features Aquafina, who I just like. I understand she received a lot of hate, but like, fuck man.
I will say, I don't. Aquafina. The thing with Aquafina is she's just in too many things. Like, there's too much of her. I don't need all of it.
She doesn't.
It's the same with like.
She doesn't do anything but just like
a lot
be
of
Aquafina. Like she's.
Yeah.
But like Aquafina is always Aquafina. Yeah. She's never not like she. Yeah.
But I also will say, if this film features quite possibly the worst song I've ever heard in a film, the Scuttle. I don't know if you.
The Scuttle.
There's that scene where Aquafina and I believe it's David Diggs Sebastian, and she's like squawking. It's genuinely, I think, maybe the worst sound that's ever been produced for a film. It's just, and I don't think I want to find a clip for it and insert the clip here because that would mean I'd have to listen to him. I don't think I want to do that because I hate it so much. Do you know what I'm talking about, by the way?
No. Yes, I do. And I wasn't going to mention it just because, like, my personal sanity. As someone who truly loves, honestly, I love when a film has a musical element. It can't be randomly inserted. It needs to be like it's got to be like a musical or set musical. Sometimes it can. It depends on the film. I mean, 500 Days of Summer does it really well, but it's so just it's confusing to me because this is the exact, well, not the exact studio. I'm sure they have multiple studios, but it's Disney, right? And they made Moana.
Yeah.
They were pretty good at making rap songs in that. So how are they so bad at making rap songs in this? Doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Lin-Manuel Miranda. Yeah, and it's Lin-Manuel Miranda who did the songs for who wrote this film. And I like Lin. I think he's got talent. I think he's made some good stuff. But this is not a good use of his abilities.
Lin-Manuel Miranda is such like he's so like inconsistent. He either produces something that's like really good or like this. He either met like, and you're just like, man. He also has a very distinct sound, which is slam poetry.
Yeah.
Like his raps are more of a spoken word rhythmic monologue than they are like a rap.
I just want to say that I don't think the style of music he does fit with the original song, and the way Lin-Manuel Miranda writes songs does not fit with the style of those original songs. So it's just jarring and so weird because it's like you're going from like these Alan Menken, Tim Rice, classics to a Lin-Manuel Miranda rap song, and there's just a disconnect. It's like, what are we doing here? Come on. Yeah, I give it a 4. Maybe a bit generous, but it's a lot like on the border of it.
Yeah, I would say 4 as well. But I'd say I'd say it's a 4, and I think that's prolific with a lot of the live action films. I understand this episode was it in a lead up to the highly controversial Snow White or Lilo and Stitch or sort of both?
Yes, Snow White. That's why Snow White. I'll do an episode, do something else. I'll probably just look at the original
on the yearly wrap up.
Yeah.
Well,
yes,
when you are, I would love to do that episode because that is a great film, Lilo and Stitch.
We're tying this into Snow White.
I know. I love Mark Webb. I love I actually he holds a very like as a director, he's genuinely up there in because I don't think he's okay. 500 Days of Summer is I think the greatest feature length debut in modern since let's say 2000, right? Of a director to come out with a feature length debut. 500 Days of Summer is a phenomenal watch. I mean, we spoke about the Spider-Man films as well, and I'm a big fan of the Amazing Spider-Man films. Given their flaws, I still think they're great films. And there are a few, he's done a lot of music videos for like goth emo bands like Evanescence, Good Charlotte, Green Day, My Chemical Romance, and I like that. This is another case of a great director being attached to a Disney IP and Disney ruining. It's a stain on a lot of these directors' bodies of work and their legacies. And it's a lot of the time it's these Disney remakes. Again, Jon Favreau. Again, Robert Zemeckis. Again, now more than likely Mark Webb.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really have much to say on this besides, I mean, we feel like we might have to quickly just mention this. The two leads, Rachel and Gal Gadot, both controversial for very different reasons, Dad. I do not understand the problems with Rachel. I think she's I don't get why she's so hated. Well, no, I can see why she's hated by certain people, but I don't problem that she's a bit You know, she said some things that I don't understand the hate for Rachel Zegler. Honestly, I think it's people being silly. Honestly,
I think. Well, no. It wasn't it recently that she. I thought there was something recent that in the build up to this film she'd gone, and this I'm not even kidding you. I heard this when I was in my work's team room, and the news was on the TV, and it was like Sunrise or the Today Show or something, and it was like they had like their US Hollywood correspondent talking about celebrity drama, and it was she deleted a bunch of social media posts in support of Palestine in the lead up to the premiere of this film, and people calling her like
I
a
haven't
sellout, pretty much
heard
saying
about it.
you're yes,
That's yeah,
but
yeah.
again,
That's not
like
the
that
controversies
again, like
I've heard. Yeah,
like a rock salt sized, like a rock salt lamp sized grain of salt with that, because that's something I heard as I was passing a TV at work. Also, a lot of people had an issue with the fact that she's like a Latina.
Yes, and she's playing Snow White. Yes,
it's
that would.
Yeah, but in the same sense, like I understand that that's like, yeah, she's playing the character named Snow White, but it's like she's Snow White because she's dead. Like this story really shouldn't be adapted. I don't think. I understand it's like a Disney princess, but a guy kisses a dead chick, like, and I don't think we like she's at least in like an extended coma. Well, like this story is problematic within itself, and not just being like I feel like because a lot of fantasy stories were. I mean, Cinderella was real gruesome, but like this guy is like a necrophiliac, and no one talks about it.
Well, I think that's. I'm just reading it here. Yeah, Rachel Zegler. She's made criticism of the original film about that element, that it's a bit creepy, elements a bit weird, and she wanted to make Snow White a more feminist film, like a more modern feminist film, and people think she is being stupid, and that she
too
dislikes
PC,
which is just like
that's so
I don't know,
ridiculous. Like okay, yes, you were playing the main character, but it's okay. Like it doesn't. Do people want no new elements added to a story? Because a lot of these remakes, the idea of a remake is you're remaking it for modern audiences. Modern audiences really shouldn't be privy to going around kissing dead chicks respectfully. Like,
it's the original is dated. And people also don't like Gal Gadot. We could probably talk about the film in the review of the year catch up. I'm not excited though, to be honest. I don't. But yeah, I mean, I really don't have much. You have much more to add to this, or should I wrap it up?
Just in case I'm not on the episode of the Lilo and Stitch, or honestly, I don't know, but like, that's the only one that I'm like keen for. I love Lilo and Stitch. Lilo and Stitch is. I watched the trailer.
Ask you one. I haven't seen the trailer yet. I haven't seen the trailer.
To speak on it, this was an upsetting episode, William.
Thank you, Harry, for joining me for this week. It's a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you for having me.
And listening a bit of a long. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.